Howdy, my name is Mark Cox. I am the tournament organizer for the Lonewolf GT in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Lonewolf is an annual event that we play every year, and it is one of the largest, if not largest, tournaments in the United States and across the world for Kings of War. So, what I decided to do was because we have a lot of new players coming in this year, I decided to sit down and do a quick review of what the new players should be expecting to see when they get their new player pack and some things that they need to look out for. So what I have here is a printout of the 2017 player pack. What you're going to notice is immediately on the front page is the schedule. This has a breakdown of all the games and the rounds, when the breaks are, and when the lunches and meals start. It also lists when open gaming is. Another thing that I recommend is when you get your player pack, throw your name right there at the top. This will help it from getting lost in the shuffle. There are 90 players walking around with these, so they're easy to go missing if they don't have your name on them. What you're going to want to focus on is this first page, the second page, and the third page. This has the explanation of all the rules that are in play and how the games progress. One of the main things to look for is on page 3. We have the various victory scales. What this does is this gives you a calculation to determine how large or small your victory was, depending on how many points you scored in either kill or scenario. So we have a kill scale up here at the top, and we have a scenario scale down here at the bottom. Scenario points are earned differently throughout the different scenarios. Kill points in the 2 kill scenarios that we're running this year, it's basically just kill your opponent and add up the points that you killed. So with that generic explanation, what I'll do is I will go into the round sheets, and I will share my screen real quick. All right, so what I have pulled up right here for you is the round sheets. What you're going to notice is that it's got 2 boxes up here. You're going to put the round that you're playing in, so whether it's round 1, round 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and the table number you end up on. Whether it's table 1 or table 45, you're going to notate that down. You're also going to put your name and your opponent's name. And then depending on which scenario you were playing, whether it was kill focused or scenario focused, you will tabulate your points on these 2 lines. So if you were playing kill and player 1 scored 1,300 points in kill and player 2 scored 500 points in kill, that's a difference of 800 points. An 800-point difference on the kill scale sliding is a 14-6. So alternately, if we were playing in round 2 and we were playing a scenario scale, player 1 would put their name, player 2 would put their name, we would put our table, and then we would put the scenario points we managed to rack up. So let's say that player 1 managed to get 18. Say that player 2 only managed to get 6. That's a difference of 12 scenario points. So on the sliding scale, a 12 is a 16-4. So we would put a 16 here and a 4 there. You would do the same thing with the kill. You would put whatever the difference was there. All right. Moving along, the pages after 3, so when you go into 4, 5, and 6, you have the various scenarios here. And each scenario has a header, scenario D, scenario C. And what we're going to do is throughout the weekend, we're going to roll randomly to determine what scenario we're playing for that round. So if I say this round we're playing scenario F, what you're going to do is you're going to go find F in the packet. You're going to read off the various rules that follow into that scenario, and you're going to figure out who wins the game based on how you play. So you're going to walk up to the table, shake hands with your opponent, figure out that we're playing 6, and then deploy and strategically play your game around that specific scenario. So when we get into some of the later pages, what we have is this grid right here. And what this is this is your round-by-round player tracker sheet. What I'm going to need each and every one of you to do is put your name on it, and then throughout the rounds, you're going to put your opponents. So you're going to put player 1, player 2, player 3, whoever you ended up playing. If I played Kevin Van Felt, I'd put him there. If I played Jeff Swan, if I played Brad McKay, I'm going to write their names in for that specific round. I'm also going to list their armies And then what I'm going to do is I'm at the end of the event, I'm going to gauge my opponents on these two columns. If I had, so what I'm going to do is the first two columns are good games, the second two columns are bad games. What I'm going to do is I have to find who gave me the best game of the weekend. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide down this column, and depending on who it was, I'm going to put a check in that box for that person. Only one person can be the best game, so we're only going to give out one best game vote. So for me, we're going to say player 3 was my best game of the weekend. We're also going to list second best game. So whoever your second best game was, we're going to pick that person, and we're going to put a check in their box. So again, only one person can be your second best game vote. And for sake of argument, we're saying player 1. Moving on to the bad section, this is for people or lists that honestly gave you a bad experience, something that made you regret playing the game and you would never do it again in that specific scenario. So the first checkbox is this person's army build, meaning the list that they brought to the table, the combination of units and items made this a bad game for you. Now, I don't mean bad matchup. I mean it made it a miserable game. If the person did nothing, if their list does nothing but demolish you and make it a miserable game, that's one thing. If the list was specifically designed to be gamey or tricky, that's a little different. And that's where we're talking about. So if they went out of their way to make a just totally heinous list, what you're going to do is you're going to go through and check this box. Now, this is not a mandatory column. If nobody gave you a truly awful experience with their list, you don't have to check anything here. For sake of argument, we're just going to say player 4 actually did for me. Rare, but we're just going to do it so I can show you the example. The next column is for the player's attitude. This specific person, not necessarily their build, but this specific person made this a bad game for me. They were screaming curse words at me the entire time. They threw dice at my models. They threw up on the table. They kicked me while I was in the bathroom. Something that was just heinously bad that made my tournament experience bad, then I'm going to give that person a check. So we're going to say for player 6, that was them. Again, not mandatory for these two columns, mandatory for the first two columns. Moving on, we have the player's choice vote. What you're going to do is you're going to write the person's name of the army that you vote for, and then you're going to sign your name. And what this sheet tells me is that the person who painted so-and-so army was the best army that you saw in the room, whether it meant it was your favorite army the way it looked, whether it was the favorite army because you like to play it, whether it was the favorite army because the paint was just so amazing that you wanted to steal it and take it home. Basically, that's what this vote is. You're just telling me that if I had my way, I would take that army home with me. And what I want you to do is tear that off of the sheet and hand it in to me. You can do that throughout the weekend. This portion up here is at the very end after game 6. This portion is anytime throughout the weekend. You can give it to me game 1 or you can give it to me during game 6. And we're going to tabulate votes and we'll know who player's choice was from there. The very last sheet that we've got is the player's paint rubric. And what this is a series of questions. A lot of them are yes, no. And you're basically going to explain to me what you did to paint your army that made it look special, or what you did to model your army to make it look special. And what I need you to do is put your name in your army, and I want you to leave this sheet out by your army so that as I go around, or as my judges go around and judge paint throughout the weekend, we can take this into consideration. So whatever you fill out here, we're going to take that into consideration when we give you your paint score. And that's going to contribute to your final overall score for the event. So that was just a very brief breakdown of what the player packet looks like and kind of how the scoring works. Obviously, you're going to have questions throughout the weekend, and that's okay. A lot of gamers that are coming this weekend are veterans, and they are more than happy to help you. So it's okay to ask for help if you are asking your opponent or the guy next to you on the table across from you. It doesn't matter. There's somebody in that room that's going to be willing to help you. I'll help you if you need to. chase me down, let me know what you need, and I'll help you out. If any of this stuff doesn't make sense, let me know. Just read through it and, try and interpret what's going on, and we'll go from there. But that's basically how easy this is. It's a 5 to 8 page packet. Everybody's going to get one, and that's going to dictate how the games play. See you guys in a couple of days.